Hello, welcome to Dungeoneers Pack, a channel bringing you player-focused discussions and character guides for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Josh, thank you for watching. When Tasha's Cauldron of Everything was released, I didn't even have the College of Creation Bard on my radar. But after some time with this book, this subclass may just have some of the best utility potential in the game. In this video, I'm going to cover the mechanics of the College of Creation Bard subclass, give my opinion on them, and give you some ideas on how you can fit this subclass into the official 5th edition settings. With that said, let's get started. Mote of Potential is the first feature from this subclass, which grants our allies a bonus whenever they use a bardic inspiration we give them. Whenever we give an ally a bardic inspiration die, a tiny mote orbits within 5 feet of them. The mote is intangible, invulnerable, and we can determine its appearance. It disappears after they expend the bardic inspiration die. When our ally uses the bardic inspiration die, it provides one of the following benefits to the die roll. If they add a die to an ability check, they can reroll the die and choose between the results of either die. If they add the die to an attack roll, the target of the attack and each creature of our choice within 5 feet of it must make a Constitution saving throw against our spell save DC. If they fail, they take thunder damage equal to the number rolled. And if they add the die to a saving throw, they gain temporary hit points equal to the number rolled on the die, plus our charisma modifier. Mote of Potential provides a small and welcome benefit for our bardic inspiration. The benefit for using the bardic inspiration die for an attack roll will trigger regardless if the attack manages to hit. The downside is that the potential damage this could provide entirely relies on our enemies failing their saves. Even though it has the potential to damage multiple targets surrounding the initial target of the attack, the damage is not guaranteed. The saving throw for this ability is probably there to balance against the increasing bardic inspiration die size as we level. The benefit for using the bardic inspiration die for a saving throw will entirely depend on how the DM sets up encounters. The temporary hit points may seem underwhelming, but the intent of this benefit seems to be a minor protective boon to soak up some of the damage taken as a result of the saving throw. What I think is the strongest and most useful benefit from this feature is the ability to reroll bardic inspiration die for ability checks and take the better result between the two. To put this in 5th edition terms, it provides advantage to our bardic inspiration die. This no doubt will be the preferred option that will help increase our allies' chances at succeeding their ability checks. The second feature we receive for this subclass at 3rd level is Performance of Creation, which will allow us to conjure up any non-magical item we can think of. As an action, we can create one non-magical item of our choice in an unoccupied space within 10 feet of us. It can only appear on a surface or in a liquid that can support it, the item's value can't be more than 20 times our bard level, and it must be medium size or smaller. The item disappears after a number of hours equal to our proficiency bonus. We can't create another item with this feature until we finish a long rest or if we expend a spell slot of 2nd level or higher. We can only have one item created with this feature active at a time, and if we create another item while we have one active, the old one vanishes. The size of the item we create increases to large at 6th level and to huge at 14th level. Performance of Creation is one of many abilities in 5th edition that will require an inventive player to capitalize on the potential this feature provides, and will also need a dungeon master willing to work with that player to allow, encourage, and facilitate their creativity. This ability grants the bard with greater utility that lets the class fulfill the troubleshooter role from another angle. This plays into the supportive gameplay identity of the bard. At 3rd level, Performance of Creation can create most weapons, armors, tools, equipment, some spell components, and other miscellaneous items found in the player's handbook. The items we can't create immediately, we can eventually create in later levels. A thing to keep in mind, the items we create are not limited to the items found in the player's handbook. With that being the case, be mindful of how you use this feature and collaborate with your DM so that this feature doesn't become disruptive to your game. At level 6, we can now start animating the objects we conjure or other items we see out in the world to help us in combat with the Animating Performance feature. As an action, we can target a large or smaller non-magical item we can see within 30 feet of us and turn it into the dancing item creature. It is friendly to us and our allies and obeys our commands. It sticks around for 1 hour unless it has 0 hit points or we die. It shares our initiative in combat, taking its turn right after ours. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but can only take the dodge action unless we spend our bonus action to command it. If we are knocked out, it can take any action on its own. When we use our bardic inspiration feature, we can still command the dancing item as part of that same bonus action. We can't use this feature again until we finish a long rest or use a 3rd level spell slot or higher to use it again. We can only have one dancing item active, and if we create another one with this feature, our previous dancing item becomes inanimate. Now let's take a look at the stats for the dancing item. Its armor class is 16, its hit points are equal to 10 plus 5 times our bard level. It has a walking and flying speed of 30 feet, it's immune to poison and psychic damage, and to the charmed, exhaustion, poisoned, and frightened conditions. It has dark vision to 60 feet, and it has the immutable form ability, which makes it immune to any spell or effect that would alter its form. It has the irrepressible dance ability that lets us increase or decrease the walking speed of a creature by 10 feet until the end of the turn if that creature starts its turn within 10 feet of it. And finally, for its attack action, it has Force Empowered Slam. Force Empowered Slam uses our spell attack modifier to hit and deals 1d10 force damage plus a proficiency bonus. Animating Performance gives the bard an animate object inspired ability that utilizes the new design approach to pets that is found all throughout Tasha's. This pet provides the bard even more utility, as well as an extra attack, all with the use of a bonus action. There are hardly any restrictions as to what we can animate with this ability. We can animate a non-magical weapon an enemy is holding and turn it against them. We can also animate any large object that we can ride, and since the dancing item stat block provides a flight speed, we can use it to fly around. On top of all of this feature allows us to avoid the issue of having competing uses for our bonus action, as we can still command our pet when we use our bardic inspiration. The final feature we pick up at level 14 is Creative Crescendo, which aims to increase the amount of items we create and no longer limit their value. When we use our Performance of Creation feature, we can create more than one item at once. The total number of items we can create is equal to our Charisma modifier with a minimum of 2 items. If we create an item that would exceed the total amount we can create, we can choose which of the previous items disappear. One of these items can be huge, while the rest of the items we can create must be small or tiny. The items we create are no longer limited by gold value. There really isn't much to say about Creative Crescendo that I already haven't said about the Performance of Creation feature. Creative Crescendo builds upon the Performance of Creation feature by allowing us to create more items, increasing the size of one item to huge, and removing the value limit on items we create. While this ability does build upon Performance of Creation, I do feel that there is more to be desired here. This could have been a perfect opportunity to improve upon Mote of Potential or even add abilities to the dancing item pet. Before I give my final thoughts on the subclass, let's take a look at some character ideas for the College of Creation Bard for the official 5th edition settings. In a traditional fantasy setting like Forgotten Realms, we could be a traveling slapstick comedian who is forced to become an adventurer to support their career after insulting an influential noble who has ruined their reputation. In Eberron, we can be a Galdar hobgoblin who is gifted in artifice and the spoken word, who has become fascinated with the history and stories of the Dakani Empire, and is seeking out the remaining Dakani goblinoids to teach them about their ancestry. In Ravnica, this could be a Rakdos puppeteer, animating their puppets, turning the city of Ravnica into their grand stage. And finally, in Theros, this could be a Nyxborn who is able to wield the power from Nyx, with the goal to be able to create something worthy of Perforos' adoration. The College of Creation Bard is a utility-driven subclass for a class that is one of the strongest support classes in the game. This subclass requires a level of ingenuity from a player and a willingness from a DM to allow the features to flourish. I have 2 critiques of the subclass. The first is that Mote of Potential, while useful, does not interact or build upon other features or the flavor of the subclass. Even then, Mote of Potential isn't a terrible ability. It grants benefits to all the roles our bardic inspiration die can be applied to, with the strongest one being the one that benefits ability checks, which is essentially advantage to our bardic inspiration die. The other critique is that Creative Crescendo does feel underwhelming. It does remove limits on our Performance of Creation feature, but doesn't do anything else beyond that. Before digging into Tasha's, I can admit I wasn't too keen on the Creation Bard, but after looking into the mechanics, the power of the subclass lies in its utility, which has me excited to eventually play one. The item creation and pet abilities really make this subclass worth checking out, and with the right DM, they can be extremely powerful. With that said, I want to hear from you. What do you think of the College of Creation Bard? Let me know down in the comments section. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, and if you want to see more content like this, I drop a video every week, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are looking for a subclass that can deceive or persuade with ease, check out my video on the College of Eloquence Bard. You can click on the video on the screen to see the new features the subclass can bring to your table and how you can fit it into the official 5th edition settings. Alright, I'm out of here. Have a good one.